Hello, I'm Magic Paper 37, or Magic Paper, or for people from the DBI community know me as Cordio, or Galpus by extension. I'm making a video today as a non-RP admin because I'm not an RP admin, and I just want to make a video going over the events of what's happened on Ng Yelo so far. This is including everything from the beginning with Hypo and Leyland to when my character Cordio comes in, covering when Misho comes in. Most recently, we just finished up Shattered Atmosphere, which, yeah, technically it could have been longer if we had been doing it constantly in one day. We spent months on it, so it's like basically since the beginning of August until now. Part 1 came out, I think, last month, which we agreed on to split up because it was going to be really long and there would have been multiple, posts about it. So that's why we have 2 parts to it. Now, here's some fun trivia about Shattered Atmosphere, is that originally the plans for it were to be a mini arc. There was going to be this thing where Cordio and Ariel went off to go do a task or 2 for the rebellion. They were always going to go and get scrap from the ship that Cordio crashed in, and I'll get to that because there's a whole thing with that from the start of the timeline, for those who aren't aware anyways. And they were originally going to go to the ship, get the salvage, and then head back and haul it back to the rebellion for ship repairs. And so Cordio could leave the planet, because Cordio, while he appreciates what the rebellion has done up to that point in time, did not really want to be part of a war he had no reason to belong to. We ended up getting the idea, I ended up getting the idea with talking to Sarah. I was like, what if we set something up with Riz and Zalker, and then do something with the Empire attacking the rebellion? And Riz was busy, and he said that Zalker was too weak now, and at that point Cordio was still tier 1 and Zalker was tier 1, I believe. So I really kind of wish we did end up doing something with each other. It's alright. What we got in the end, though, was I brought the idea to Nigmus. I talked to him about it because Saru liked the idea, but then Nigmus was like, what if we use Monoko instead? I'm like, dude, that would work so well. And so that's kind of like where Euphoria came from. Hold on, I'll get to that. I just wanted to let people know that the reason why Shattered Atmosphere became so big was because of the whole idea behind having the rebellion base be invaded, and so we kind of expanded it into a much larger arc than what it was originally planned to be. I'm really glad it came out that way. And also, I don't have a face. I want to do face recording, I want to have a webcam, but for my face, so I can talk to people directly. But that's not in my budget right now to have a webcam. I mean, I did have one, but it broke a couple months ago, unfortunately. Actually, it was more than a couple months ago. It was before my 2 Icon Bond video that I made a while ago. It was before that, so it's been a lot longer than a couple of months. I'm going to the very beginning. I believe this is the first log Saru ever created. I won't be reading every single log in a video. That would take way too many times for me. It would take way too much time for me. So, the synopsis for this log is that Hypothermos encounters a new visitor who comes across his cave, the demon Leyland. Hypo allows Leyland to recover in his cave and offers him food after butchering an animal. Meanwhile, Leyland offers to start an expedition to a nearby mountain that looks like it's been split into 2, and the 2 prepare for their journey. So, in the first log here, I read this a long time ago, so the details are not too privy to me, but this log here is a simple introduction to the 2 characters, Hypothermos and Leyland. These 2, this is their introduction, and it's very basic compared to future logs, and the formatting is terrible for a first log. I'm sorry, Saru. I mean, you did a lot better later on, I swear. It's true. But Hypo, at this point in time, does not know how to speak, and I want to talk about that a bit later, the fact that Hypo can't speak, because it was a massive inconvenience for everyone when he couldn't speak, and there's really not much goes on here. Leyland runs Hypo, he's in the cave, they butcher an animal, as the synopsis says. And then they find the mountain of the Frozen Lightning Spear. Pretty much, it's the title of the arc. Mountain of the Frozen Lightning Spear. That's it. They go on an expedition to go to there. I believe in the next vlog, if we continue on, they run into Arcturus. The first time they ran into him. I wasn't included yet. I come in. I don't know. I think the third log. No, 3, 4, 5. I'm in the 7th log at this. So I find that really interesting that I'm not here for a long time. But I know of the events for the most part. From here, they meet Arcturus in part 2. Now, Arcturus hasn't been really relevant at all in many of the logs from Shattered Atmosphere. He was with everyone, I believe. He was there in the rebellion base, the rebel base, when shit hit the fan. But in this time, they meet Arcturus. He gives them a bunch of missions, a bunch of objectives or whatever to do. Note is that again, we don't have different colors for NPCs right now. It was an earlier time that we all ended up getting better at. Tundra Saga. I called it the Tundra Saga. Actually, I wonder if because I don't. Hold on, let me go read the synopsis for this one. Having established what the two wish to explore. Okay, maybe that doesn't happen yet, but we'll see. But that's just where they meet Arcturus, who becomes a prevalent NPC for a little bit. Well, the formatting has gotten a little bit better. It's more. It feels a little more clear on who is he, because it's more spaced out. It looks like they're already starting their tasks they have to do for Arcturus, which is the beginning of their adventure. And I believe this is how this is why they go to GT Malron. They fight some beasts here. They fight some. Actually, I forgot what they're fighting. They're Filderons. They're fighting Filderons. You see it right there. They get the thing they need for Arcturus. I know this is kind of a funny thing, haha, I'm going back to explain stuff. This other thing with Mjolnir. I forgot who, because Mjolnir is another player, which I don't think we ever see again after this. But interestingly, Hypo kind of speaks here. And it says he sign language. Kind of don't like that. Personally, but I mean, we're way past this point, so it really doesn't matter. No, I have not read Cold Alloy. I don't remember any of this, but I do remember I remember Saru talking about the thing that happened, all the stuff that happened. They just have a conversation, which, personally, in the long scheme of things, does not matter, in my opinion. Like, you could skip Cold Alloy and miss nothing that pertains to the overall story. Now, Heartless Oppression, I believe, is when they go to GT Malron. Yeah, they go to GT Malron. Oh, see, if I go here, yeah, that's Cold Alloy. So it looks like there is this is when Cold Alloy takes place. Leyland was gone, they go to the city, and then there's military oppression going on in GT Malron. The streets are full of, it's like chaos. There's military and civilians and everything everywhere. The military is oppressing everyone, forcing specific, they're just being brutal and whatever. It's not good. And point of view, I don't quite remember. It looks like he fights someone here? I don't remember. I know I've read this. The synopsis for this one is Hypo gets split by the thousands of panicking citizens. Okay, yeah. Hypo stops some thugs, finds an abandoned metro filled with homeless people, and gets ambushed by more thugs. Leyland finds himself fighting against military offers and getting rescued by Mjolnir right as he's about to get arrested. Okay, so no, Mjolnir does come back again. Again, to note, the formatting is a lot better. It's all separated now. Yeah, so Leyland fights some people, and it looks like they meet back up at the end. I'm pretty sure that's what happens. Now we're getting to Second Labor. This is where I come in. I come in at the point of GT Malron, Hypo the salesman. I think that was a mistake. I mean, no, it's not. It's just weird. It's just the way it looks. They get back together, they're looking for Polis, which they find. And Polis is a pretty important character, all things considered. He he's all the way up to Shattered Atmosphere. He's all the way up to that point. Like he's kind of just around. He's the leader of the rebellion, at least for this branch. And again, I'm sorry for my non-professionalism here. Pulls out an electronic map. They have the map. Leyland says he's gonna leave the planet. Leyland hasn't yet. Okay, finally, they get stuff, and then this is my first ever roleplay into the series, into like DBI, by the way. So that's interesting. I think I would have typed this up differently if I knew better. Actually, these both count. Cordio was introduced at GT Malron because that's where he managed to end up. Complete accident, by the way. It was kind of like a MacGuffin for him to be there. He didn't have to be there, but he is. He bumps into Hypo. Hypo is like confused. Cordio says he's lost. Leyland interrupts and says he can't talk, but he understands what you mean. He says we don't know anything about the city. Hypo again doesn't know what they're talking about. Cordio needed water. Also, he was in a suit, by the way. Cordio needs to be in a suit, but Leyland and Hypo were not. If I were to do this again, I would have Cordio be more hesitant, but at this point he was lost, confused, thirsty. He had nowhere else to go, and he basically hooked on to the only people who were willing to listen to him, talk to him, which was really just Leyland talking to him. Yeah, okay, so we end up going back to the mountain, I believe, right here, yeah. Arcturus makes him a water bottle. I don't know if that happens in this log or the next one. And it's actually kind of funny, because the mountain had like 2 sections, at least as far as I remember. Cordio would be at the top of Arcturus pretty much the entire time until they were ready to go. Because that's where the forge was. It was constantly warm there. Cordio was not like warm up to that point, and he does not hate. He like hates the cold because of how Ng Yelo is. He was not in a comfortable position. So being able to take his suit off and be by the fire with Arcturus was a better deal than not like being in a cold environment. I had Cordio talk about his story, which basically just is Cordio. He was basically shunned and outcasted because he was either supposed to be a warrior or he was supposed to be a priest, which both required different types of training, and Cordio tried. He tried to learn both, and that's kind of why he's a little knowledgeable at this point about certain things, but he never committed because he didn't like it. He wanted to find artifacts, and that is something that's still going to happen. He wanted to find the Namekian artifacts that were apparently stranded, or like they're all across the universe. And that's his goal still. He still wants to do that, even after the events of Shattered Atmosphere, the Beast Falls. Leyland is a demon from Eos, I believe. And he's part of the Raven, I believe it's the Raven tribe, or Raven clan? Something along those lines, or crows? I have a hard time remembering. Let me see. No, Raven, yes. No, he it's a Raven clan of some sort. So he ended up finding a portal to Ng Yelo. He was fleeing, I believe. His tribe, I believe, was slaughtered. I keep saying I believe. And that's how he ended up on Ng Yelo. And I should have gone over character introductions as they happened, but I'm doing it now. Hypo's backstory is a little weird. There's still some, I think there's still some unconfirmed stuff. But as far as I'm aware, Hypo is an Icerian who was bred to be a soldier, sort of, kind of like how I imagine is like Saiyans being put in pods to rest and as their babies, and he's kind of like the Goku. They're like he was like the Goku of like babies that were born, and basically he was outcasted, like he was abandoned out in the cold somewhere, and he grew up in the wilderness by himself in a cave and basically learned everything on his own. And that's kind of, I believe that's what Seru was going for, and I believe that's been brought up here. So that's why Hypo wasn't able to talk in the beginning, and that's why he has a prowess for combat, natural combat, and instinct whenever he fights, whereas Cordio is kind of like the opposite, right? I mean, he was never strong to begin with, but he was never meant for battle. It's just not what he wanted to do. And so he struggled with that concept of survival because he had no reason to until this point. Leyland is just Broza. friggin' powerhouse. Lyra, as the person who plays Leyland, actually said he wanted Leyland to be more of a tank, like the tank of the group. So we kind of had this formula, right? And this wasn't necessarily intentional, right? But like Hypo is the close quarters combat speed person who's gonna get in your face and not let you go, whereas Leyland would be the one to take all the hits as the tank. Cordio is basically backup from support, and like long range kind of stuff, like his beams and laser eyes and all that. Kind of not intentional. Like I don't think we ever agreed on putting ourselves in roles like that. But yeah, that's the first log. Cordio goes to the Mountain of the Frozen Lightning Spear, and then they get their third task, but there's not really any time to dwell. And this, I don't know why I just said it, this is where Misho joins in. And this is the first time we get to the Rebellion base, which actually is interesting to me, because this is, I don't know, I thought it was later. Cordio's being a little racist. He's like, "Wait, Leyland, you don't look like the other lizards, no offense to Hypo, where are you from?" And this is actually where we learn, he's kind of like from Eos. And he says it's constantly run, fight, or run away, Demon Clan. So yeah, I was asking about Unity and stuff. And I was like, I could try shooting through the ice with the... what was... I know I'm not going to read all this, I'm not. But I'm just looking at some of the text, right? And it's just like, I could try shooting through the ice from here, but it might take a while. I also don't want to risk breaking my gun. Because Cordio picked up a gun off the slaver. Off of one of the slavers when he got off of the ship. No, that would not work realistically. I don't know what my boy was thinking. Which was me. I'm my boy. And from there, like, they go to the Rebellion base. They come across the Everjail, which is something that happens later. We don't actually get to explore that yet. We're not going there yet. We don't see... Oh, yeah, I forgot, hold on. We do get to see the Everjail later, but at this point it doesn't have a name. But I don't know if I rolled for this or if I just did it, but I had Cordio fall through the snow. He was 5 feet deep into the snow, his head sticking out within his suit, which I think he looks more than his head with this sticking out, because I think Cordio is a little bit over 5 feet tall. I forget how tall he is. I have to check the game. I'm not going to right now. He's pulled out, and I think that was actually something I talked about. Thought it was kind of funny. Or is. And we meet Misho. Hold on. I'm going to look for Misho for the first time. I know I just saw his name a couple of times. Okay, right here. Misho is an Earthling who came to Ng Yelo for research purposes, and also he's wanted on Earth for stealing the suit he's in. He's supposed to be our sort of scientist character, which again, we did not do this on purpose. I think we did talk about us already having tropes, but we did not push for anyone to do any specific role, and Misho donned himself to be the scientist character, and I really wish he was still around doing stuff. He's on Discord stuff, but he's either too busy or doing something else, and I don't know what he is doing. But the suit's made for combat, and it was the perfect environment for combat because Ng Yelo is a hellscape. And Misho doesn't believe in energy and ki and magic. He's all about science, baby! We're talking Iron Man suits, man. That's the kind of thing Misho wanted to be doing, which he did not have yet. Yep, okay, they go to the rebel base, and we find some Imperial cadets. That's right, we fight here. We fight some cadets. And this is the first time Cordio ever fought. And he had moments where he froze up and stuff, I believe. Maybe not, because he said, alright, this was from history books. This is when we were doing die rolls. I got 20. And we all switched to different we were all role-playing different NPCs and fighting different characters to each other. Which is, I don't think, a format we ever ended up doing again. Like, maybe we do it like one more time after this. With the other, bigger Silver Insignia soldier. Cordio was trying to make these people leave. But in the end, we win. And that gets noticed. Which we gotta go to part 2 for. There's a fight that keeps going and going and going and going and going, which I think we could have done a little bit faster, but it's not that much going on. There's just a lot of text because there's a lot of people involved in the log to the base. But I think that happens after we get there. And then I do disappear for a log. I forgot. I think I was sick or something, or I was busy. I could not come on for what was going on for the log after this. But yeah, okay, so we do end up in the base. We end up going down an elevator. We meet Polis again and Torque, and for the whole point of speech therapy, and this is what I'll talk about. I do not like how Hypo being able to talk so quickly again happened, and I think I said something about it back then, but to me, I feel like there should have been more space for this to develop instead of just being done immediately. And at the time, and with no offense to Saru or Ike for me saying this, it's just my opinion. Ike and Bond said there should be a way for Hypo to speak again because it was impacting the story. I believe he said he doesn't mind Hypo not speaking either because he's like the end character, but Saru was talking about it in a way that like he had to do it. And I think if we were able to, I would have spread that out across a couple of vlogs instead of it being that's just my opinion, but there's no changing that now. It's just what it is, you know. Where Hypo really learns to speak, and I believe at this point it was Cordio, because I wasn't there, and I believe I had Cordio in his room. I know I could have talked about Salker, but I'm not here to talk about Salker. Yeah, so this is where we end up leaving, and we end up back at the Mountain of the Frozen Lightning Spear. Alright, and then Cordio discusses Key, and this is kind of what I meant when I said that this is where Cordio knows more stuff than pretty much, like, anyone else here. And that's because, again, Cordio did take classes for both being a warrior and being a priest, and learned about spirituality and Ki and all that, but he never learned how to use it. It's not something he was able to do. Actually, no, it wasn't that he was unable to do it. He just didn't want to be able to do it because he wanted to do something else. Like, he wanted to go be an explorer, and he felt that did not need combat experience to achieve, and therefore he just didn't at this point in time. But I do believe there's quite a lot here. The silver insignia soldier. Yeah, he talks about his cadets because we fought them. We killed them a few logs ago, and then there's a big fight. Like, I even go into Cordio's psyche because Cordio felt how strong this guy was, stronger than him, and it goes to his backflash and like into his past, which I think got praised at the time. I was just doing what I thought was natural, and it goes back to people speaking to him, or at least people who he thought has said to him or would say something to him. And Misha tries to get him out of it. Everyone is fighting, and Cordio is frozen. He's stiff. He's scared. He's like, stay out of my mind. I've already left. His dad says they're going to die. And he says, what can you do to save them? You are nothing. You will die with them. Your luck has run out. And Cordio is like, I am strong. I can help my friends. I will help them. We will live. This is where Cordio snaps out of it. I believe next round is where he starts to fight. And then he has like a little speech and tries to kind of give a morale boost to everyone. And then this is where he does his first Ki blast. And everyone else is just fighting, right? Like Leyland's fist, like fist fighting. Hypo's fighting. I just wanted to put attention to this because it was an important moment for me, for Cordio, because it's the first time he ever did a Ki blast. Misha's using his suit. It has different forms. It was crazy. I think Ikenbon at the time said that Misha's probably the strongest out of all of us because of his suit, which honestly makes a lot of sense based on the capabilities of we've seen with the suit. And I haven't really gone into it, but it has like a combat mode where and stuff. It's like right here, right arm 200% pressure. Like arm might break, gotta risk it. Just the suit can do that kind of stuff. It's really cool. And then he shoots. This guy shoots a massive energy wave, destroys part of the mountain, and shit falls down. And the cavern has doubled its size, and rocks are rubble rocks the ground all around. And Hypo's like, it's an extension of willpower, isn't it, Cordio? Because Hypo was like figuring out everything too. Hypo, Leyland makes fun of him. Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, so they fight the Silver Insignian Soldier, and they win. Doctor, because Cordio Deep Suit's dead. Leyland try to carry them a hump when his headache goes away. And then this is the end of the arc. And the next arc, we're not going to talk about that. The next arc, Master Cryomancy, but this video is already 40 minutes, and I'll be cutting it down, but I will make more videos about this. Now I'm just going to do a conclusion to all this. The Mountain of the Frozen Lightning Sphere is the introductory arc to all of the 4 characters. First 4 characters, Ariel and Phineas, are nowhere to be seen because they were not part of our group yet. Introductory arc involves Hypo and Leyland becoming friends, and then finding the mountain that has the mountain that looks like it was struck by lightning, split into 2. It's called the Mountain of the Frozen Lightning Sphere. We move on. They go to GT Melron. They do fight Builderons and beat them. Get the thing for Arcturus. Then go to GT Melron for Arcturus to do the second task. And that's where they run into Cordio. And Cordio and them go together. Cordio has no one else to hook onto. He hooks onto them, as they're the only people willing to interact with him. They go back to the Mountain of the Frozen Lightning Sphere. They meet. Cordio meets Arcturus. Cordio stays up there with Arcturus until they're ready to leave again. They fight some cadets on their way to the Rebellion base after GT Melron, where they met Polis, or they were looking for Polis. And they fight the cadets. They go to the base. That's where Hypo learns to talk, and then they go back to the Mountain of the Frozen Lightning Sphere, where they fight the Silver Insignium Soldier. That guy was a real toughie. Cordio explains how to use Ki to everyone, and then the fight happens. How it could work, anyways, because Cordio's never done it up to that point. But in the battle, Cordio gets scared. Everyone else is fighting for their lives. Cordio is being a little, let's just say, bitch. Being a big old bitch. In his mind, he's reliving events, thinking of stuff that's been said or is being said to him now, based on his past. And he gets out of it, uses his first Ki blast, and the guy gets pissed. The guy that they're fighting shoots a big old laser into the mountain, making a bigger cavern, rocks falling, whatever, all that jazz, and then they beat him. Cordio passes out, Misho passes out, everyone is injured. This is the end of the Mountain of the Frozen Lightning Sphere. I will be making another video about the Master of Cryomancy, and then I will be making a video about Shattered Atmosphere. Have a good day.